Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As Brother Dawood says, obviously my name is Amin, and I reverted to Islam quite unorthodoxly. I was a prisoner. My journey to Islam started many years before I ended up in prison on the battlefields of the former Yugoslavian state, where as a young soldier I was subjected to the horrors of man's foreign policies. There, on a night time, I would listen to Muslim forces call the Azan out on a night time as they awaited the onslaught of Serbs and Croats and so on and so forth. And that call to prayer, even at that time, used to strike a chord. It was very hard to describe being a non-Muslim, but just hearing those words drifting across those fields was stirring. The effects of that war had on me was I ended up going down a very difficult path, and I ended up incarcerated for many, many years in some of the worst jails this country has to offer. But even there, the words of Allah came through the walls. The writings, the Quran, the verses, they managed to breach the wire when people couldn't. And in there I met a guy who was what we would call a terrorist. He worked for the old IRA. And he embraced Islam. And he was one of these people you would never in a million years thought, if someone's going to embrace Islam, this guy's not going to be it. And he did. He accepted the words of Allah in his heart, and his entire character, everything about him over the months and years we knew him started to change, to the point we couldn't recognize this guy. The reputation that he had was gone. What we had in place was a guy who started to think a lot more about what his situation was and how he could best deal with things. Whereas perhaps time before that, he would deal with situations a lot less diplomatically. He kept giving me dawah, although I didn't know that at the time. He kept telling me about the blessings of Islam and how it makes him feel, and we just thought he'd gone crazy. We just thought he's lost the plot a little bit, like. And still he persisted. He kept talking, and we could definitely see this change in this guy. And one day, I sort of got tired of listening to him sort of go on about it, and perhaps it was the calling, Allahu Alam. But one day I decided to take up his offer and attend these Friday prayers that he kept going on about. Friday prayers in a prison is not like Friday prayers outside. This is a room, it's a tiny little room, no bigger than a broom closet. It's such a tiny enclosed space. You're surrounded by guards. Every movement you make is monitored. When you walk in and out, you're searched. It's such an oppressive regime. But somehow in that room, we found peace. We had brothers there from Bangladesh. We had brothers there from Pakistan. We had brothers there, Arab brothers. We had brothers there from Africa. All over, different languages, different dialects. Yet when the call to prayer came, and they all started to pray, sitting back, looking at these guys, they all spoke the same language. Islam had united them in a way no one else had managed to. I knew at that time in that room, I was not going to leave that room as a non-Muslim. I was going to come out of that room as a Muslim. I knew it. My hair stood on end when the Imam was giving doing the Shahada with me, and I was listening to these words that were bringing me into this brotherhood, this faith of 1.6 billion people. And the words, my hairs, everything just sort of started to stand on end, and my heart rate went. And when I said the final words, and I accepted that there was no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the messenger of Allah, things changed. Where I am today is because of that man. That man's actions in him accepting Islam and being able to teach Islam to somebody else, to give dawah as we call it now, is how I got to where I am today. Now, well, I work with the prison project with the help of Brother Dawood. We visit prisoners. We go into the prisons, and we bring true Islam back to the prisons to help those prisoners keep away from extremism, to keep away from the evils in the world. We try and help steer them onto the straight path. For those of you who know me, I'm also married now. Yes, I know somebody didn't think that would ever happen, but I am, and quite happy for it. So, from my point of view, Islam has given me everything.